Good day, everyone. Welcome to Real Conservative Headline News. I'm your host, Nathaniel Rajkumar. Starting off locally here in Trinidad and Tobago, workers of the Coconut Growers Association protested along the Eastern Main Road in Laventille yesterday. Everybody protested now, while they were holding strain up to a few years ago. They say several workers were suspended for raising concerns about safe working conditions, and now they're standing in solidarity with them. But I mean, safe working conditions is important. Especially, I think, up to what day it was, a person ended up passing away because they fell from a coconut tree. I find people take too much of a risk when it pertains to that in the first place. My response, well, look at that. I never knew coconut growers had an association to begin with. All those who were asleep for the past 10 years have finally awakened. They found their voices as well. The time of being patriotic and making ultimate sacrifices for one's country has come to an end. Rest assured, if the PNM manages to win the general election in 2030, the spirit of patriotism will return, and there will be widespread willingness to tighten belts and wean off the government once again and abide by certain simple basic rules of safety. We are truly a special people here in Trinidad and Tobago. As a lot of other people say, Trinidad and Tobago is not a real place.
My name is Greg. We out here in solidarity of 12 comrades who were suspended unfairly or unjustly. The reason why, because they stand up against working against adverse conditions in the workplace, health and safety reasons. And we believe that the rights have been violated and have been wrongly suspended. And we out here to let the people know that we're going on. We're not working in no unsafe condition. Understand me? That's why we are out here. We're standing here in solidarity so we comrades and them to make sure they get justice who are unfairly suspended because they stand up for the rights, believing that the workers' health and safety was at risk. And that's why they stand. And they believe that the management is saying that what the management is saying that they have been encouraging workers not to go and work. But the workers refuse to work because they believe the place is unsafe. And that's why we're out here. We stand in solidarity to totally suspended workers.
Chief Secretary Fali Augustine has expressed disappointment after 9 suspects detained in connection with vandalism against Water and Sewage Authority infrastructure were released. The suspects included a WASA employee, were freed. A WASA employee, was involved in it. Well, I'm not surprised about that at all. So the suspects, including a WASA employee, were freed after being held for questioning around April the 1st. At a media conference on Thursday, Augustine said he had not been briefed on the investigation beyond the identities of those arrested. He said, my disappointment only stems from the fact that I really want the culprits to pay for it. I'm not sure how much evidence the police has. And with the capabilities of our police nowadays, the detection rate in general is extremely low. So you expect them to really solve this either. And then there probably really wasn't much evidence to go with in the first place. He said affected sites had no CCTV coverage or security presence at the time of the attacks. Why did not security or CCTV footage? It's really craziness. But of course, once again, and people want to blame what? UNC? UNC now come into office last year, 1 year. You want them to fix everything. Health Minister Dr. Lakram Bodo says, in spite of nurses engaging in a march in Port of Spain on Friday, the Patriots, I'm telling you, very passionate. On Friday over salary issues, there's no health crisis, and the health sector continues to provide service to thousands of citizens every day. I don't know how much of that is really completely true, because the amount of people who were protesting yesterday, but I mean, most likely they did it on their time offer. I don't think they would have been able to do that and just abandon the hospitals the way the mainstream media might want to try to portray it, because then I think that would have probably been a criminal offense. Nevertheless, as I said on my other YouTube channel this morning, I said that these nurses and the association, they were so diplomatic, so passive. Time of rest and reflection under the mighty Morphin Ghanaian PNM and the Emperor Rowley. And now they are all extremely expressive and going out and protesting passionately because the UNC is in office and they believe that they can intimidate the UNC into compliance, into submission. 10 years of neglect and corruption. We all agree that the system is broken, people. We all agree as well that the nurses and other healthcare workers deserve better wages. But the way they're going about doing it and their timing is extremely off and wrong. You cannot expect the government to resolve and to rectify every single problem that the PNM caused in 10 years. You want it to be resolved within months. It's ridiculous what is going on right about now.
I thank the member for her question. Mr. Speaker, I wish to assure the population that there is no health crisis in our country at this time. Mr. Speaker, under this government, the healthcare system continues to provide services to thousands of patients on a daily basis. Finally, Mr. Speaker, I want to take this opportunity to thank all of our healthcare workers at the RHAs and the Ministry of Health who continue to work diligently on a daily basis to serve the citizens of Trinidad and Tobago. Thank you.
Member for Diego Martin Northeast.
Supplemental. Mr. Speaker, in view of the fact that nurses are currently marching along Independence Square with police blocking off a series of roads in Port of Spain, hundreds of nurses, this is why I'm late. How can the minister say with hundreds of nurses marching on Independence Square, police blocking the roads, that there's no crisis?
I don't think it's a question. I think that's just a challenge to the answer given. The minister said there's no... Yes, but asking the minister, if he said there is no crisis, asking him, how can he say that? I think it's just counterproductive. I don't think it's an admissible question. Second supplementary, if there is one.
Yes, Mr. Speaker. Second supplemental. In view of the fact that hundreds of nurses are not at work but are marching on Independence Square, what is the minister's definition of a health crisis?
All right. The preamble to the question is inadmissible, but the substance of the question, Minister, what is your definition of a health crisis?
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, my definition of a health crisis, with my definition is what transpired as healthcare for the 10 years under the last government.
Former Energy Minister Stuart Young, Zami Young, has accused Prime Minister Kamala Persad-Bissessar of attempting to take credit for the national gas company's improved financial performance. In a statement issued yesterday. My response: how come PNM's plans only become effective and beneficial to TNT when UNC is in office? You all went there for 10 years. You had plans. How come you didn't implement those plans, including this plan? We all know, but even UNC admitted that a lot of the policies that they have right now are PNM policies. Well, some of them I don't even agree with, like the taxes and the fees and the fines and so forth. But the point remains is the execution of these things, the carrying out of these policies is what the PNM either refuses to do or can't do. And therefore, you know what, PNM? Thank you for those policies, though. Thank you. But what the UNC would have done is taken it and amended it to ensure that it actually benefits the citizens of Trinidad and Tobago, and also, most of all, implemented it, something that the PNM for some reason never does. So you know what? Stay in opposition for many more years to come, Zami Young, and you could give as much advice as you want, and as long as it makes sense, the UNC administration will take it and utilize it with probably some little bits of amendments here, there.
For Saturday, April 11th, 2026, Trinidad and Tobago can expect partly sunny and breezy conditions throughout the day, with a few spotty showers likely to interrupt the fair weather, especially during the morning period. Daily highlights. Temperatures. Highs are expected to reach 29 degrees Celsius to 31 degrees Celsius, with overnight lows around 23 degrees Celsius to 24 degrees Celsius. Haziness. A slight haze may be present in the atmosphere. Heat index. The feels-like temperature is forecast to be as high as 34 degrees Celsius. Marine conditions. Seas are expected to be slight to moderate, with waves in open waters between 1.5 meters to 2.0 meters. Wind, generally from the northeast to east-southeast at speeds of 5 to 35 kilometers per hour. UV index. The maximum UV index is forecast to be 9, which is very high. Sunrise to sunset, 5:53 a.m. to 6:14 p.m. Tide times for Saturday, April 11th. Port of Spain, Trinidad. Low tide, 4:24 a.m. High tide, 10:48 a.m. Low tide, 6:09 p.m. High tide, 12:35 a.m. Sunday. Scarborough, Tobago. High tide, 12:12 a.m. Low tide, 8:05 a.m. High tide, 1:58 p.m. Low tide, 6:22 p.m.
Regional news now. While Sailing Week in St. Vincent and the Grenadines officially concluded on April 6, 2026, activities will continue with the double-ender races, which are set to end on Sunday. Well, that will be tomorrow, April 12th, 2026, in Bequia. Event coordinator of SVG Sailing Week, Anna Brown, said the challenges faced in hosting the races will be on organizers' control, but I hope it was so successful and they generated some level of revenue for their country. Remember, these islands depend a whole lot on tourism to generate revenue.
Unfortunately today, because of the wind, we didn't have double enders competing, and nor did they complete the extensive route yesterday because again of the wind. So that of course is a big disappointment to the locals and some of our visitors who particularly wanted to experience the double ender sailing. So I would say that is one of our biggest challenges, that we didn't get to complete the full plan activities for the event, which particularly double enders races, and today some of our yachts had to retire because of the wind as well.
Jamaica recorded more than 1 million visitor arrivals and earned US $956 million in the first quarter of 2026. First quarter alone, a major milestone achieved just 5 months after the disruption caused by Hurricane Melissa. Tourism Minister Edmund Bartlett, who disclosed the figures during a diaspora reception at the Embassy of Jamaica in Washington, D.C., on Wednesday, described the performance as resilience in action. He credited the Jamaican diaspora as a critical force behind the recovery, noting that their advocacy helped to counter negative perceptions and sustained interest in the destination following the hurricane. The Ministry of Agriculture has rejected claims about the state of Guyana's rice industry, calling statements made by We Invest Nationhood as a new party in Guyana that is basically a replacement of the older PNC, I think, is party. Although the PNC still exists, but it's basically a waste of time now. But anyhow, so made by We Invest in Nationhood, Member of Parliament Goben Harbajan, extremely misleading and disconnected from the realities of the sector. In a statement on Thursday, the ministry said the assertions reflect either a complete lack of understanding of how the industry operates or a deliberate attempt to misinform rice farmers for political mileage. Maybe it's a little bit of the both. It's just like PNM here in Trinidad and Tobago. A lot of the times, it's two things. It's ignorance, arrogance, and of course, just the desire to mislead and promote negativity when any other political party is in government. The Grand Bahama Chamber of Commerce is calling for greater transparency following a series of recent redevelopment and announcements for the Grand Lucayan Resort on April 9th, 2026. While welcoming the potential for renewed investment, Chamber President Dillion Knowles emphasized that clarity, not announcements, is now critical due to the resort's long history of stalled projects. And I wonder if the government has anything to do with that. Maybe, just maybe, time alone will tell, and we will see what are the results coming out from Bahamas very soon when it pertains to the general election. Concerns over the economic and social impact of crime in Barbados have led to urgent calls for stronger, more targeted policing, particularly in designated hotspot areas. You hear that? You hear that, PNM Patriots? Hotspot areas are identified in Barbados. Because you know why? As long as there's nothing, a race issue, people usually are willing to identify hot spots because it's where crime exists and occurs on a much more regular basis than in other places in a country. And there's no actual big race issue in Barbados compared to Trinidad and Tobago. And that's why here, speaking about a hotspot is racist instead of factual and based on statistics here in Trinidad and Tobago. Everything is identified as race when it pertains to issues that people in other countries would actually acknowledge. But anyhow, getting back to the report, experts including management and behavioral specialists are emphasizing that focused enforcement is critical to mitigating the financial and societal burdens that rising violence places on the nation. I hope that they will do much more in Barbados to probably address the incompetence of their TTPS as well. Most likely, a lot of the times, that's one of the main reasons, besides gang culture. Throughout the whole Caribbean, we need to deal with gang culture, stop the glorification and the promotion of gang culture on our airwaves and in our communities, and all these DJs and that publicly promote that type of deadly lifestyle. International news now. The Islamic Republic of Iran has been nominated to a United Nations committee tasked with shaping policy on women's rights. Thankfully, it's just a nomination and that will be rejected, hopefully. But then the UN is becoming more and more jihadist influenced. So who knows? So anyhow, let me read that over. The Islamic Republic of Iran has been nominated to a United Nations committee tasked with shaping policy on, listen to what, of all things, women's rights, human rights, disarmament, and counter-terrorism. You can believe that? You can believe that? The terrorist, the sponsor of terrorism in the Middle East and persecutors of women. If it is if you don't wear your head covering properly, you're getting strokes and all kind of stuff because of that. But they want to put them to advocate on behalf of individuals' human rights. That is, I'm telling you, we're living in the time where the Bible says that people will want to believe lies, things that are just pleasing to the ear, and also that they will believe that good is evil and evil is good. Like how they believe radical jihadist type of cultures now is good, even though it's extremely evil. My response online, they'll strive to enforce Sharia law upon women all around the world, especially in Europe and Asia, if they get the opportunity to do so. Get ready to be covered from head to toe by their patriots who love to support these radical jihadists. Most of you living in democracies and enjoying your time, enjoying your freedom, enjoying your alphabet soup community types of stuff too. You won't dare go and actually live in Iran, you know, but you want the Iranians to continue to endure that type of oppressive lifestyle. Why is it difficult yet necessary to root out Hezbollah and destroy its terrorist infrastructure, stockpiles, and means of movement? Because this is what they've built. Sophisticated tunnels with lighting, comms, and rail transport drilled through solid rock as deep as 20 stories below the surface, just like what Hamas did in Gaza. This tunnel near Shtula, under the Israel-Lebanon border, aka right under UN's nose, was discovered and sealed by the Israeli Defense Force during Operation Northern Shield. Because unlike the rest of the woke world, the woke weak world, especially Europe right now, Israel, basically almost on their own, is addressing the radical jihadist, destructive, demonic agenda. Now, for the interesting facts segment, a 12-year-old boy, a 12-year-old named Brody Ritter, came home with a yearbook that almost had no one signed, leaving him feeling invisible. Trying to stay hopeful, he wrote a note to himself. He said, "Hope you make some more friends, I guess, in the future." His mom shared the moment online, and it quickly touched hearts across the country. The very next day, something incredible happened. All the students showed up to his classroom and filled his yearbook with kind messages. A disappointing moment turned into one he will never forget, proving how powerful even small acts of kindness can be, especially in this time when people don't really care much about that anymore. People just care more about themselves alone, what they can benefit in this world. It's always about me, I nowadays. So this is a wonderful story that I had to highlight for all of you.
Welcome to Real Conservative Headline News Travel Adventures. Great Smoky Mountains National Park, America's most visited national park, million annual visitors, spans Tennessee and North Carolina, featuring mist-covered peaks, 800-plus miles of trails, and diverse forests. Open year-round, it offers iconic spots like Cood's Cove, Clingman's Dome, and numerous waterfalls with popular, free entry access. Key travel highlights and tips. Best time to visit: spring for wildflowers, summer for full greenery, and autumn for vibrant fall foliage. Top attractions. Cood's Cove, an 11-mile loop road perfect for viewing wildlife, historic cabins, and churches. Clingman's Dome, the highest point in the park, 6,643 feet, offering panoramic views. Newfound Gap Road, a scenic drive crossing the park. Waterfalls, Laurel Falls, Abrams Falls, and Rainbow Falls are popular hikes. Activities: hiking, fishing, over 2,900 miles of streams, wildlife viewing, black bears, and historic site exploration. Visitor centers: Sugarlands, Oconaluftee, Cood's Cove, and Clingman's Dome are main hubs. Hope you enjoyed today's video, and we'll see you again tomorrow as our journey around the world continues.
Folks, that brings us to the end of today's headline news. Thanks again to everyone who continues to support my content. Please like, comment, share, and subscribe. Stay blessed and stay safe most of all. In Jesus' name.